There you go. You can give this to the guy as a consolation prize. Because for what you got that bike for, his ass has got to hurt. Alrighty, I just have the little screen here on my pocket too, so bear with me if I get out of frame or do something stupid with the camera. So anyway, you saw the intro clip. Buddy John came across this bike. We had our eye out for an e-bike. He was interested in one, and so we were keeping an eye on Marketplace, and sure enough, this one popped up on Marketplace. He snagged it for 150 bucks. And it's a Jansno X50. You know, it's not a super bike by any means or anything like that, but it's not, you know, the cheapest on the market either. So, not a bad little bike. Apparently, the gentleman he bought it from, his son had wrecked it, and I'm assuming it didn't work since it was wrecked. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. So he had contacted the company because it was given an error code on the screen. So he contacted the company. The company told him he needed a new motor controller. He ordered a new motor controller. And I don't know. He didn't do anything with it. I don't know why he didn't do anything with it. But wound up John buying it for 150 bucks. And if you know anything about e-bikes, if your battery's decent and your motor's decent, you at least broke even, or better than even. You know, you didn't get hurt. You got a good battery, you got a good motor, you didn't get hurt. You can pick up the motor controllers relatively cheap. So you can pick those up kind of cheap. Yeah, I want to make sure I had that battery turned off. So, and I'll show you why in a second. So the gentleman ordered a motor controller from the company that sells the bike. This is the old one here. This is the new one there. The wiring harnesses, yeah, good luck. Good luck. So, as you can see, this is the brake light harness right here. Okay, you've got, going to the brake light, you got a black, white, and blue wire, right? But out of the motor controller, it's black, yellow, orange. Like that is even close, yo. Like that is even close. Tail light's not working yet. Still trying to figure out what's up with that. I think maybe the tail light might need an extra set of wires. These here, the yellow green. I think for the tail light to work, you need those. I'm not sure. I'm trying to find out. I've contacted the company. I sent them an email, I should say. So this here is your hall sensor wires right here that go to the motor, and right here are what they call your phase lines that go to your motor. They're going to be thicker, heavier. They're going to be a solid wire. They're not going to be, you know, the thinner braided. It's going to be a pretty tough wire there. So that all goes back to the motor. This here, believe it or not, actually the colors matched. I was shocked. So this is your throttle control right here. And then this here, it goes up to the display. So what all it does, it goes up to the display. However, the old controller had the wire ran right into this JST connector here. And, you know, all was good. Well, on the new controller, it wasn't. There was a different plug on, or a different terminal on here, and we tried depinning this. We tried and couldn't get that stupid thing out of there. So I said, screw with it. We're not going to fight it anymore. So I just cut the damn thing, and we'll solder it and heat shrink it and all that good stuff. It'll be done right. So the only two things that we don't have locked in is the pedal assist. Now this is the only other 3-wire connector coming out of the motor controller. The only other one. And all the others that do come out, there's a black wire and a white wire. And when you see these are typically either limiting wires, or learning wires. Limiting wires, let's say you've got a 1,000-watt motor controller. A lot of times, this one's a 750 supposedly. Awful small 750, but that's what they claim. So like, there's a lot of your larger motor controllers that you could plug those 2 wires in, and it cuts it down to 750 watts. Okay, some of them are learning wires. They'll change, the speed and stuff. It'll crawl, it'll go slow. And then some of them are like phase wires, to where you have to plug it in. And I've also heard those called learning wires too, to where you have to plug it in so the controller can figure out what your configuration is on your AC brushless motor. Like, you got different degrees and all that stuff, and a lot of your motor controllers can actually auto detect what setup it is, but you have to momentarily plug in those learning wires, or so that it can detect that and run off, operate normally. But anyway, so the only thing we've got, this is for the passive, isn't it? Yeah, this is for the pedal assist right here. So, and as you can see, they don't come close. The blue, red, and yellow doesn't really come close to blue, red, and black. So I don't know. I ain't got no clue. But it works. Let me make sure that red wire is good. Yep, red wire is good. Turn the power on. Now his display, before, it would show up an error on it, and see, now it's nothing but a odometer on there. And I will ever so slightly watch that axle. The axle's going to spin, not the wheel. Okay, I was trying to grab it to hold it away. Hang on, bear with me. That'll work right there. And I'm just barely going to move it, because man, that'll twist that wire up faster than you can imagine. See that? So, she's good. She will work. I'm going to get everything sewed up, all the wires taken care of. I also had bared the wires up here so that we could check the voltage going into the throttle and then the signal coming out of the throttle. So I have to get those taken care of. That way they won't have any shorts or anything like that. So there we go. At least we got it where we can ride it. And we're just kind of holding out to see what we can find out on the rest of the wiring for the tail light and the pedal assist. This is what it's all about, folks. And it's just one of those things that you got to do your best to figure it out. There is no, I have no color code for this. Are there any commonalities with it? Some. Well, the blue, yellow, and green wire is pretty standard. This, this array of colors for your hall sensor is pretty standard. But then when you get up to here, shit just kind of, I won't say it's not standard. Well, out of the controller here, you got an orange wire that's going into a blue wire, But at least these were the same. I have no idea what the brown wire is. Apparently the internet has no idea either. And then this is a 2-wire dealio here that comes out here. I don't know. They said that for this different style of controller that you needed a male 2-prong adapter thingy. I don't know if they meant, because this, I'm assuming, this is going to be the tail light wire here. I'm wondering if those two are supposed to go together. But see, you don't want to go willy-nilly just connecting stuff, because that's how accidents happen. That's how you smoke stuff. No, not good stuff anyway. So yeah, this is what I've got going on. This is just another day for the Watchman. Just another day. I love every second of it. Anyway, get your repairedness on. You never know when you're going to need it. This here's a Jetson J5. Brought it to me, and the battery wouldn't charge, nor would it work. And so tore the battery pack apart, found a bad BMS, and an entire cell group had gone bad. So for that particular battery, there's 10 batteries in a series, and that particular battery had three groups. So that means, well, essentially it had 30 batteries in it, but they were in groups of 3. So I had to replace all 3 batteries in one particular group, and that's what fixed the BMS. So the tires were rough on it and all that, so replaced the tires on it. And the charge port, it had a very cheesy plastic port on the bottom. Try to get this in frame here. I put a metal port on the side so that way they can actually see to charge it. So that's all that was up with that one, and it runs great. And then this one here, now I try to remember the name, a Jansno X50 is what this says. And John picked it up for 150 bucks. The guy's son had rode it, and I'm not real sure if he had wrecked it and then it no longer worked, or how all that shaked out, but it wasn't working. The code that the guy was seeing up on the controller was telling him that it was either motor controller or motor. So he had bought a motor controller from the company and never did put it in or anything. And so well, John bought it from him for 150 bucks. Brought the bike to me and the motor controller to me, and I figured out, well, the motor wiring is pretty standard on all of them. But when you get into your throttle wiring, when you have displays like this and you get into that, it's going to be a wild guess on what color is what. So I got his throttle going, motor controller going, he could ride it and everything. I had his brake light working, his headlight and front turn signals were working, but I didn't have his rear tail light, just the regular tail light, or the rear turn signals figured out yet. I wanted to be sure of how that light functioned and what was required for those functions to operate, because they're all different. Like for instance, that light, there's 50 volts that goes into that light, 50 volts. And the way that you turn stuff on, when you power his thing up, is if you turn on the headlights, you get your your tail light, and then if you hit your brakes, you get your brake light, and then if you turn on a turn signal, you get a turn signal. Well, how that works is you got 50 volts going into the light, and then you've got 4 different wires. One of them, if you ground it, you'll get a tail light. The other one, if you ground it, you'll get a brake light. The other one, if you ground it, you'll get one turn signal, and of course if you ground the other, you'll get the other turn signal. Oops, if I can keep it in frame. So anyway, that's essentially how that works, but you don't just go, plugging away in the dark on stuff like that, because it's easy to blow stuff up. But the company got back with me, told me, they gave me a video that showed me their magic special adapter that cost 20 bucks. And as long as I had that video so I could see how they were hooking it up and where they were hooking it up, I could grab my soldering iron and just directly wire it. So that's what we did last night. And now he's got a fully functional e-bike for a hell of a good price. I really do think he needs to give the guy that bottle of Vaseline though.